Hey, this is Fish on a Heater with Tournament Takeaway. So this is where we take a look at a set of Pokemon Go battles and take a look at the decisions that were made in the heat of the battle to see what we can learn to bring into future battles. I personally have learned a lot from doing these videos in this particular fashion, and I hope that you guys learn just as much as I do. So this is the this is the first round of a tournament held in the Arena Australis Discord server, which is a Discord server that kind of helps to build PvP in Australia and New Zealand. This is our server-wide Nightfall Cup tournament, round number 1, against Caleb the Norman. Now, you may remember the name Caleb the Norman from one of the practice tournaments that I did. I think he is running the exact same team as he was in that practice tournament, but I didn't bother to go back and check before the battle, before I started the video, sorry. So I might, if I remember, I'll chuck a link to the previous video and you can find out for yourself whether this was the exact same team. I did beat him last time, if I remember rightly. Let's see if I do it again. This is Fish versus Caleb the Norman. So, first we are leading the Venusaur, and we managed to catch the Wigglytuff. So, Venusaur, I felt, was a pretty darn good lead in this particular team competition. Of course, it's going to smash the Swampert. Definitely beats the Wigglytuff. The Weepinbell, it'll beat the Weepinbell, and it should beat the Lucario. I'm just going to double check that one though. Venusaur and Lucario. So in the one shield, Venusaur's got that. Yeah, Venusaur's got it in most of the shield scenarios. Lucario only... Oh, actually... Yeah, so Lucario is going to win the 0-0. It's going to win all the Venusaur 0 shield situations, and the 2-1 in favour of Lucario. So in general, Venusaur does beat the Lucario. It's just the Noctowl it has to worry about, and that Venomoth, I don't think is as bad a matchup as what it would seem. This one was running Confusion again, if I remember rightly. I mean, that is pretty bad. Okay, never mind. Venomoth is a terrible matchup for Venusaur. So, if I had encountered the Noctowl or the Venomoth, I'm getting right out of there. Let's count those charms. That's 3, 4, 5, 6. So I just built up extra energy just because the first extra Vine Whip that I did is just in case he tried to catch the charge move on another one of his Pokemon. Maybe he brings out, I don't know, maybe he brings out the Venomoth then, which will double resist Frenzy Plant and single resist Sludge Bomb. So that'll be a good one to catch the move. Noctowl might be another good one to catch the move because it's very tanky. It can tank that Sludge Bomb quite easily. So that's why I go one Vine Whip further, and then any subsequent ones, it's really just to help me to have more energy at hand in case I need to do anything quickly. So, for example, I might be in a situation where they switch out, I've got to switch out, we get to a situation where I've only got Venusaur left at the end of the battle. I can bring it in and just from here, it's 2 more Vine Whips and then I get to that Frenzy Plant, as opposed to if I'd thrown straight away and then I had to switch out the Venusaur for whatever reason. Once that Venusaur comes back in, then I've still got to fire whatever it is, 6 Vine Whips to get to that Frenzy Plant and get the KO that I need. So having that extra energy is super helpful in that regard. One other thing is that it also can throw off your opponent. If you throw 9 Vine Whips instead of the 6 it takes to get to a Frenzy Plant, Or let's go 7 for the Sludge Bomb, because Sludge Bomb is preferable against Wigglytuff. So you need 7. Let's say you throw 10 Vine Whips before throwing that Sludge Bomb. Potentially, that can help cause your opponent to lose track of your energy and the Vine Whips that you're throwing, assuming that they are accomplished enough as a battler to understand how to count that energy. Yeah, they might think that you're still like 2-3 more Vine Whips away from the next Sludge Bomb when you aren't. So there's a few reasons to just build up an extra bit of energy, and because Wigglytuff is not going to be any sort of danger to us anytime soon, that it affords us the opportunity to do that with the Venusaur. I get the shield with the Frenzy Plant, and then straight away I just went for that Sludge Bomb. That is because I believe, if I counted that correctly, that Wigglytuff was about to throw an Ice Beam. Let's count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that was a mistake on my part, actually. So I could have built up an extra 2. It's exactly what I just talked about, building up extra energy, and I didn't follow it the second time around. So it takes 10 charms to get to an Ice Beam. I could have thrown another 3 Vine Whips in that time, which makes a huge difference. Okay, so out comes Noctowl, and there's my G-Fisk. Now, I had Frostlass there. Frostlass was a much safer switch. Frostlass is going to beat all of those remaining Pokemon except maybe the Weepinbell. The Weepinbell can beat Frostlass with 1 shield, and then Razor Leaf down from there. The Swampert usually wins, I believe, but the Frostlass flips that with energy. So let me double check that. Frostlass versus, what are we doing? Swampert. Okay, and the 1 shield, yeah, Frostlass has got that just fine. Doesn't even need the energy lead. So we've got one of those shortened L shapes there, where Swampert's winning all the 0 shields, and then the 2-1, and then Frostlass is winning the rest of them. So in general, Frostlass wins that. So Frostlass is a much safer Pokemon to switch in there. I brought out Stunfisk, which put me completely at mercy of the Swampert or the Lucario if he brought either of those two. So that makes it a little bit harder for me moving forward. I let that Hydro Cannon go. I go for the Earthquake, hoping to burn his last shield. I think it would have, like, if I were in his situation, I probably would have let that go through. Even if I thought that the Earthquake was coming through from the Stunfisk, I would have let it go, because Swampert's biggest role on any Nightfall Cup team is as a Stunfisk counter. It does have other kind of lesser uses, but its main job is to crush Stunfisk. It can tank an Earthquake. An Earthquake will do... Earthquake will do 62% damage to Swampert, and he knows, Caleb knows, that I'm going to bring that Venusaur back in. After this Stunfisk goes down, Swampert really doesn't have much left to do in this battle. So leaving it with more health allows Venusaur to come and, you know, burn all the energy. Burn all the... not burn all the... build all the energy that it wants. It can just Vine Whip to its heart's content. Doesn't have to worry. I've still got 2 shields left, so even if I think that an Earthquake is coming in from the Swampert, I can just shield that one. But yeah, the Hydro Cannon is not going to do much. I can easily tank 2 Hydro Cannons, and then just come out of that matchup with like 100 energy. So he wants to get hit by the Earthquake from the Stunfisk, so that Venusaur has less soil to farm, if you will. So I let this go, and then out comes my Venusaur again. You know what? Having said that, that's assuming that Venusaur's on full health, which it's not. This Venusaur doesn't have that much HP left. Nevertheless, I still stand by the statement. Yes, he burned a shield, but I still think coming out with that much energy is a huge disadvantage. Sludge Bomb will definitely hurt the Noctowl. Even though it can certainly tank a Sludge Bomb, it will still hurt, and it means the Venusaur can do some real damage before going down. And now he switches out to the Noctowl. He doesn't know what I've got in the back, so he doesn't know that I've got this Frostlass that is a perfectly fine counter against the Noctowl. And you can see I had a Frenzy Plant all built up on the Venusaur before switching out. So that'll probably come in later. How many how many wing attacks is it to a sky attack? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It looks like 7. And then in this sim it's thrown an extra one for some reason. So wait, it's 7 energy, and that's 45 energy, so that's yeah, no, it is 8. No, 7 sevens are 49, what am I talking about? So yeah, 7 wing attacks to get to a sky attack. So I could have waited for 7 wing attacks before throwing that Avalanche, especially since I win CMP having the higher attack. So if we go back, there's that sky attack, and I use my second shield here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could have waited 2 more. And see, I would have gotten that Avalanche off if I'd farmed up just a smidgen more. It didn't make a difference in the end. Obviously, I do get the Avalanche and take that Swampert out, but just a very emphatic first win for me. So here's battle number 2. Let's see how we go in this one. Much less solid matchup for me. Swampert managing to catch the one Pokemon that it was destined to come up and beat. So I bring in, you can see I'm tapping on that Frostlass. I've got 2 Pokemon that are okay against the Swampert. One Pokemon that's obviously a very hard counter to it, and another one that can beat it. And I think that must have been my plan. Obviously, if you look at the matchups here, if you look at Caleb's team, my Stunfisk has good matchups against everything except the Swampert and the Lucario, and both of these Pokemon that I've got in the back beat Swampert and Lucario. So the idea is I'll lead I'll lead Stunfisk, and if I do happen to come into the Swampert or Lucario, then I can switch into one Pokemon that beats it, force them to switch out. That's fine, because then my other counter for that Pokemon can come back in later. The only problem with that is it relies on winning switch advantage. So, say for example, I switch out into the Frostlass, Caleb brings out whatever it is, Wigglytuff. If that Wigglytuff beats that Frostlass before I can beat it, then I suddenly have to bring out either the Stunfisk or the Venusaur. Both will absolutely murder a Wigglytuff, but then when that Wigglytuff goes down, he can bring out Stunfisk again. So he can bring out Swampert again. So say I bring out my Stunfisk, he can bring out Swampert again. Or if he brings out, if I bring out my Venusaur to finish off the Wigglytuff, he could bring out Noctowl from there, and then I could switch into Stunfisk to try and get out of that matchup, but then he just switches straight into Swampert. So I'm just kind of locked in that hard counter situation. So this relies on winning that switch in matchup to win back switch advantage. Interestingly, he stays in. And I opt to tank it. That was a bad move. Because of those reasons we just talked about. These things are only occurring to me in hindsight as I'm rewatching these videos. In the moment, I'm not thinking about these things, that's why I find these videos so valuable. It's because now I understand that, like, how vital winning switch advantage is there, because now he can do exactly what we just said, which is he brings in the Wigglytuff. That's going to just be fine. My Frostlass is not going to hurt it very much, especially if it shields here. I'm not even sure I can get to another Avalanche. I don't think I'll be able to get to another Avalanche. And now, that's right. I had a quick check on what his team was. And I did get the farm down, which is super helpful. But now, out comes Noctowl. So those Sludge Bombs do hurt, but he's still got 2 shields to play with. I did manage to catch the charge move, and that I'm pretty sure that was a bit of a guess. I wasn't exactly sure how many wing attacks it would take to get to a Sky Attack. But now, out comes Swampert again. And it's up to a Hydro Cannon. What do I do here? I let it go, so I guess my plan is to try and get the Earthquake off to burn another shield, and then to try and farm down. And that's very, very... So, okay. I guess my plan was to burn the second shield from Caleb, farm down with the Venusaur, and then have enough ammo to be able to overcome the Noctowl. Caleb, which that would have worked if Caleb was not too smart, which unfortunately he was too smart for that in this situation. He recognized that he would probably need, because I've got 2 shields, he might need 1 shield to hide behind at least to protect against the onslaught of Sludge Bombs, and if I had just oodles of energy on the Venusaur at the time, then that would allow that to happen. Also, he knows that with my Stunfisk being as low health as it is, he can then bring in the Noctowl, and he can get energy. He can be pretty safe in assuming that he'll be able to feint down my Stunfisk before I can get another charge move off. So he brings that in earlier than perhaps you'd think he should, and that enables him to feint the Stunfisk and make sure that he's got plenty of energy. So from this point he can just wing attack down, he doesn't need to sky attack. I go for the Frenzy Plant, but doesn't matter either way. He's always going to shield, and he feints me down for the second battle. So we are 1-1 heading into the third battle. Now, it is a pretty big gap between these battles happening and me recording these analyses of it. So I would like to I'd like to talk you guys through what I was thinking heading into battle number 3. Unfortunately, it was just too long ago for me to remember, so I'm going to have to see what happened in battle 3 and kind of work backwards to figure out what the thought process was. So let's see what we've got. We've got the Ninetales versus the Weepinbell. What was I thinking there? So I must have figured the Ninetales would beat the Noctowl. Actually, you know what? Let's see what the other two Pokemon... So I did stick with the Venusaur Frostlass combo in the back. Maybe I just wanted a second counter for the Noctowl. Maybe I expected Caleb to bring that Swampert again to counter the Stunfisk, and so leaving my Stunfisk on the bench would mean I could ensure that I got safer matchups against his team. I guess I would have expected him to bring kind of that Noctowl Swampert core again. So with Ninetales being a bit more neutral against the Noctowl and a lot better against Swampert than Stunfisk is, maybe I was just hoping to catch those leads. Unfortunately, the Weepinbell here is a very difficult one to get a handle on, because as we've discussed in previous videos, Razor Leafers in this cup can beat a lot of the meta by shielding once and then just beating them down with Razor Leaf. So I don't believe Ninetales is any exception, but I am going to double check that. Ninetales versus Weepinbell with Razor Leaf, Seed Bomb and Sludge Bomb, I think it had. Yeah, I mean, it even gets to a Seed Bomb before I can get to a Psyshock, which is crazy. But yeah, it shields once and then KOs me the rest of the time. Look at that. It's winning every situation where it's having to shield at least once. Oh, and you know what I also just noticed is that these numbers being the same indicates to me that Weepinbell doesn't actually use the second shield there. It only loses in the 1-0 and the 2-0, interestingly. And the interesting thing is, Frostlass suffers that same issue, in that it loses that one shield situation against the Weepinbell. Venusaur will win, but if I switch into the Weepinbell, if I switch the Venusaur into the Weepinbell, then he's just going to switch right out. So what do I do there? Let's see what I did do. Looks like I'm staying in this matchup till death. Interesting that I just let that go. So, bringing that Frostlass in now will enable me to farm down that Weepinbell, because that's the big problem with Weepinbell versus your anything else, is that it can outlast your moves just by shielding once. But I guess farming it down this much enabled me to farming it down with the Ninetales this much enabled me to get it to a low enough HP that Powder Snow will be able to finish the job here. So good job, Fish. Nice thinking. Look at that, it's doing so much damage, and it took a lot of damage out of my hands, but we've talked about how much damage Frostlass can do with an energy lead. So there's one avalanche. Can we get to a second? Now, we're completely at the mercy of team composition here. I'm about to feint this Wigglytuff with the Venusaur. If he has brought the Noctowl in, I'm gonna lose. If he's brought the Swampert in, expecting the Stunfisk, I'm gonna win. I don't know about any of the other Pokemon. Has he, for some reason, brought a Venomoth? I doubt it, because Venomoth does the same job in this team as Noctowl, except it's got a worse matchup against Stunfisk. It can't take as much punishment. Has he suddenly decided to bring Lucario? I don't think so, because both of the previous two battles I have brought in the two Lucario counters, so I don't think he's going to do that. So it's really going to be between Noctowl and Swampert. He's brought in that Weepinbell in Battle 3 that he didn't do last time. He has to have taken out one of those two Pokemon. And the other one's still going to be there. So, well, let's just find out rather than try and speculate our way through it. Let's just find out. So down goes the Wigglytuff, and what do we get? It is the Swampert. So we got lucky there. That was excellent play by Caleb to bring in the Weepinbell to really pressure those Pokemon. And also, interesting move on his part that he brought two Pokemon that rely heavily on fast move damage. I managed to get that third Frenzy Plant, takes out the rest of the Swampert, and I win that matchup. So, yeah, really interesting that he decided to go with the very fast move heavy line of the Razor Leaf Weepinbell and the Charm Wigglytuff. It very nearly got me, because I was down to my Venusaur in the back. He told me afterwards, it's all come back to me now. He told me afterwards that he thought that I wouldn't be stubborn enough to persist with the Venusaur, which is why he took out the Noctowl. Unfortunately, I felt Venusaur was pretty necessary in beating that Weepinbell, beating the Wigglytuff, beating the Swampert. Yeah, so I stuck with it, and it was the Stunfisk that I felt was expendable. I took that out for the Ninetales, and really letting the Ninetales go down wasn't that difficult a decision for me, because Ninetales is a Pokemon that had very even matchups against a lot of that team. So it's not like I needed to keep Ninetales around to make sure I can counter this Pokemon or that. It was more like Ninetales was a bit of a generalist. It was there to do to pick up the pieces that the other harder counters left behind. It served its job faithfully, served the cause, and the Frostlass was able to do a bit of damage by farming down that Weepinbell, if he had not brought Wigglytuff, it was really interesting because, like, farming up that energy on the Frostlass would have been very, very devastating if he brought anything other than Wigglytuff, because that Wigglytuff, with the power of its charm, just fainted me down before I could really make use of all the energy. I did hit it with one Avalanche, which is great, but I couldn't get to a second one because charm got me first. So yeah, really good play on both sides, and it was really just team composition that won or lost that for him. Thank you for watching this video. If you like the videos, then please help it grow, the channel grow. Comment, like, subscribe, and share the video around with someone who you think could really learn from what happens in these videos. That will help it grow and make sure that we keep on getting to do these videos. So thank you, and I'll see you next time.